friends, we have just gotten rolling here with the stream, and our first order of business is to discuss the recent announcement of the EverQuest Legends, what do we call it, experience? The EverQuest Legends extravaganza. What's really funny about this, it's so funny like how timing happens, right? Like just in life, you know? What's really funny about this is, and I even think I mentioned this on stream not too long ago, that there's been that other game, Aaron Shore, that came out a while back, that whole, I mean, you know, this a true solo MMORPG where you have automated players in the world and, you know, you're literally playing by yourself. There's no other live players, but you're able to field groups and kind of there's this like kind of automated, you know, feigned economy and things like that. I was like, you know, that's interesting. Like, it's really interesting, like that we're to the point now where we can have things like that. Like an actual MMO-esque type experience played completely solo. So I've been thinking about that a little bit. Actually, there's an Aaron Shore demo, and I tried it just out of pure curiosity. But it's just funny how this announcement came, like, kind of coinciding with that. So let's kind of get the skinny here. Daybreak Games announces EverQuest Legends, a solo-friendly collaboration with indie studio Game John. So let that be kind of the theme as we go through this, a solo-friendly collaboration. Okay? Daybreak Games and independent development studio Game John are thrilled to announce their fan-driven collaboration designed to give players a new way to experience classic EverQuest Legends. Okay, that's another key thing to pick up on. Classic EverQuest. So I'm gonna spill a little bit of the beans here right at the beginning. I'm kind of low-key interested in this, okay? I'm kind of low-key interested in this. And the reason is because it seems to be based on a truly classic EverQuest experience. And that's the only reason why there's any interest at all. Like if this had been just kind of a continuation of retail, EQ, or some kind of like amalgamation or, you know, monstrosity of some kind of, you know, a little bit of this expansion, that expansion. If the fact that it's being centered around classic EverQuest has kind of piqued my interest a little bit. EverQuest Legends takes players back to the early days of the trailblazing MMORPG with restored sound and visuals and all new quality of life enhancements designed to make it more approachable for new and returning adventurers. So then we start hearing a little bit from the people involved. So this guy, David Yousefi, EverQuest Legends is a passion project for me. This is the executive producer of EQ Legends at Daybreak. I've dreamt of a solo casual version of EQ for over 20 years. The opportunity to bring that dream to life in collaboration with a group of our biggest and most passionate fans is truly epic. We've put a lot of love and hard work into making a game that honors the legacy of EQ while forging new experiences for players of all stripes to enjoy. We hope old school fans and new adventurers alike will enjoy the magic and wonder of Norath and EverQuest Legends. So that right there, I think, gives you the kind of the thrust of this, right? Like this is an attempt to take classic EverQuest, what, you know, I would say pretty much everybody here on this stream, everybody who's keeping tabs with EverQuest at all, would mark as like, this is kind of the heyday of EQ back in that classic era. They're wanting to take that and create this kind of like casual solo experience. And if this is truly news to you, it's going to get to some really interesting details here in a second that, again, if have kind of piqued my interest, even if it's a very short-lived interest, even if I end up trying this out, you know, I don't know how much staying power it's going to have, but it's interesting. So he goes on, or no, this is Ida Sposs, founder of Game John. I've been playing EverQuest since the turn of the century and have been an active member of its incredible community ever since. Our team's been pinching ourselves. Okay, so it's fluff. Okay, key new features. Here we go. Number 1. Experience Classic EQ. EverQuest Legends features all the magic and nostalgia of classic EverQuest, including the original art style. Okay, so they're getting rid of all the Lucklin era art, which is awesome. For me. I know that's subjective, but for me. Original art style, graphics, zones, spell effects, loot, and music. I'm going to be really interested in seeing like how pure of a recapturing this is. Like, are they gonna actually get the level 24 and level 39 levels correct and that those were the two specific levels that your spell effects got bigger? Or is it going to be some weird, like, it wasn't actually the right levels? There's so many little things like that where when you get a bunch of EQ players in the same room, everybody kind of remembers some of these things a little bit differently. So I find that interesting. But I'm really curious if they're going to really nail it. Like if that's a part of their priority list, is we have to actually make this really, really, truly the way that it was. Modern game features. EverQuest Legends features tons of modern game features, including a streamlined user interface, upgraded spell and ability management, countless other quality of life enhancements. I mean, that's not a bad thing, depending on what that means, depending on how far that goes. Forge your legend. Allow players to create unique... Okay, here we go. Here's the interesting stuff. EverQuest Legends allows players to create unique characters by selecting up to 3 classes at a time, with all the benefits, stats, spells, and abilities that come with each class. You can also upgrade your gear up to plus 10. We don't know what that means. Then swap and combine different focus, click, and proc effects on your gear. Okay. With 15 available races and 560 possible... Yeah. 560 possible class combinations. Yeah, but, I mean, you know. There's only going to be a handful that really matter. They really give you the juice. And then with the additional power provided to player characters and the many benefits of modernized gaming experience, EverQuest Legends makes it possible for players to progress through the game at their own pace and to forge their own adventure, whether alone or with others. So here's the key here. This is the part that really kind of brought it home. While small groups up to 4 players and raids up to 8 players, 8-player raids, even a solo player can build a character strong enough to take on the toughest challenges and acquire the most epic gear in the game. So, if you've ever had this kind of dream, right? This daydream, this kind of like, how awesome would it be to play EverQuest and be able to truly solo the entirety of the game? Have any of you ever had that, like, that dream? If only I could solo everything in this game. It's funny. It's interesting. Like, now, granted, like I said, consider my interest slightly piqued. Like, even as just a one-time experience, it's classic EQ. I mean, when EQ Emu was a thing, EQ emulator, I played a lot of EQ emulator, like the Easy server. That's the only one I'm gonna be able to remember, I'm sure. But because it was classic EQ, kind of. So I'll probably play it, and I'll probably enjoy it to a degree, but it's going to be, yeah, it's more of a gimmick kind of experience. It's more of like this would be a cool way to experience a game that I love, that, you know, I've not been able to justify getting back into it since the last time I did, with everything I've got going on. This, and in that sense, I wouldn't call it like a bad move, because you've got so many people that played and love classic EverQuest that are in a similar boat where they would love to play it again, but they, you know, maybe they just can't justify the time it would take, or they don't want to get like sucked into like the deep guild, you know, kind of experiences and expectations. So I think it'll be successful. I'm curious to see what they do. I think I heard something about this not being like a chrono related thing, so they wouldn't have like chrono part of this. I don't know if that means there won't be any microtransactions, but I don't think there's going to be like a chrono element to this, so that's good. But yeah, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting idea. No chrono. Okay, good. Yeah, I imagine this will be like a hard pass for some people. I imagine this will be a hard pass for some people. And then I imagine it'll be, I see this being, honestly, I see this kind of covering all three of the I guess the potential responses. I could see it being it's going to be a hard pass for some, it's going to be a hard yes for some, and I imagine there's going to be a sizable amount of people that just try it out. You know, what the hey, I'll pay for another month, you know, a month's worth of subscription just to give it a try. And that's probably how long it'll last, you know? Hit it hard, you'll be back in Classic EQ again, smelling all the nostalgia. Oh my goodness, I can create a class made out of 3 different classes. I'm going to make what would I make? I would make a oh man, what would I make? I'd make a necro. I don't know. A necro cleric monk? A monk necro cleric? I don't know. But I mean that's fun, right? Like what the heck? You know, let's try it. Let's see. How weird, how crazy can this be? And then you'll go in there and you'll be like, "Oh wow, I can solo lower Guck." That's going to be the interesting thing to me though. I wonder how they're going to do it in with instancing and whatnot. Because if you've got, you know, solo players who are able to jump in and like just take a whole zone, you know, are you gonna be able to carve anytime, any room? You can solo the Ghoul Lord, that's great, but I mean, probably gonna be camped, right? Because everybody can do it by themselves. It'll be interesting. But I would imagine they're gonna lean pretty heavily into instancing with this. If your whole goal is to create like a, you know, something that's fairly soloable all the way through, even to the highest level, then yeah, I mean, I would imagine being able to kind of have instances at your disposal, at your command, would be the way to go. Hey, what's up, Primus? Good to see you, bro. EQ just leaves a bad taste in your mouth? What? Why? I know, that's fair. Necro's already solo lower guy. That's fair. That's fair. I wonder if they're going to do, because that's one pain point I feel like I would have is, I mean, EverQuest controls are a little rough. And even the way, and granted, it's not a high APM game, of course, and so it's not like you're needing to be able to, but I just wonder how much being able to be a single character that's 3 classes in one is going to feel like multi-boxing in a way, in terms of like, how are they going to handle how many abilities you have available to you at once, the key binding support. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's not going to be like boxing, but it's just curious about that. We'll see. Yes. Yeah, 16 skill bars. Oh, man. Man. Yo, what is going on? Dennis, good to see you. David, welcome. Crazen, GK, Inth, 1K. Good to see you. One very cool aspect is that you can now go to all the places you never qualified to get to before and gain experience in a place to prep for the real thing. That's true. And actually, several years ago, I was able to connect with Nilbog with Project 1999, and he was gracious enough to give me access to the dev server for P99 just so that I could like use the commands and kind of just see the places that I wanted to see, right? And just go to this place, try it out, not worried about dying, not worried about, you know, getting keyed or flagged or anything, but could just like soak in these things. So I think, and that was really fun. I mean, obviously there's a lot of R&D I was doing with that, but it was also just really fun. And I think this could be a cool way to, because there are things in places that nobody's ever seen. There are places nobody's ever been. And you know, yeah, like you cheapen it a little bit by being able to solo everything, but at the same time, as old as EverQuest is, and as unlikely as a lot of people who haven't seen everything, as unlikely as it is for them to go back and like put in the time and effort to do it legit, this could be an interesting way to see and experience some of that content. So we'll see. I think it's very interesting. For sure. And I think it could be really successful, honestly. We'll have to wait and see. It really depends on how pure of a classic experience it is. Like how much attention to detail they really put in it, because that's going to go a long way. It depends on how improved the UI and the control is, like how easy is it to control a character with that many abilities. And it's going to come down to how and how much they protect against like the effects of microtransactions. So we'll see. Definitely be keeping tabs on it. For sure. Yeah, GK, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Can we get a 3-class combo temporary Pantheon server until the spring launch? I don't think Pantheon would be super conducive to that. I think that'd be tough. 3 classes at once. Bean the Magic Tomato, thank you so much for the Prime sub and the 3 months. Poppy Captain, thank you so much for the Prime, and Nane Speed as well with the Prime and the 17 months. Appreciate that, you guys, very, very much. Thank you. You signed up for it, Jaren? Yeah. Visibility. Yeah, I respect that. And I feel that too, to an extent. I can definitely relate to that. Not wanting to spoil, things that you never saw in the past. I get that. You love dual classes? Yeah. It's interesting. I've never really gone deep in a game that had multiclassing. So I don't have a lot of, experiences to point to. All right. We're going to fire up Pantheon here, dive in. We're back on the Wizard today. Still going strong. When collaboration stream with Armagon? Don't know yet. We're still trying to figure that out. So it's seeming like it's one of those things where we had like a moment in time to do it, and because we missed that moment, his schedule, my schedule, it's like, because he's one of the things that's making it really hard is he doesn't live here, he's on a totally different time zone. So just trying to find times that match up for the two of us is really tough because it's like this tight little window. So we're gonna keep trying though. We're gonna keep trying. Okay. I want to make sure I protect y'all's ears. So we're back on Haven Song. If you are part of the experience, if you're playing the hardcore session with us, hop in. Let's do it. I do see it has the gear upgraded +10 stuff from Eastern MMOs. I hate that stuff. Yeah, I'm curious how they're going to handle that. Like, is that like, maybe you get, if you get the same item, you can sacrifice the item or combine 2 items together. It's gonna be like a merging game, like a mobile game where you kind of drag the the flowing black silk sash onto the other flowing black silk sash, and it, you know, becomes a FPSS +1. Yeah, FPSS S. Now that it's officially spring, how far off is the reset? We looking at July or August? Lol, JK. Yeah, I can't tell you yet. Not yet. Not sure you talk about... Let me start over. Not sure how much you talk about other games, but thoughts on Monsters and Memories. I feel like I do talk about Monsters and Memories a fair amount, just because it does come up a lot. But I haven't played it yet. So I'm always a little bit reserved, because I want to actually be able to play it, which I am planning on playing. I've told you guys I'm planning on playing it once it gets into the actual, like, early access. So what is that, in like June? So a lot of my thoughts would be based more on my perception of things, more so than, you know, having any hands on. So yeah. Do you have any specific questions? I know that typically it's more about just wanting to kind of hear my general thoughts, but until I have those. Angelin's in the same boat. I'm planning on getting some time. Is it Angelin or Adrelin? I always forget. Is it Adrelin? Adrelin. They have a playtest, an extended playtest starting on April the 1st. And I am planning on jumping in for at least a couple of sessions on that. And I want to stream that. Yeah. It's a good game. They're doing a really good job. I really enjoyed it the last time I was in. So I'm excited to experience it again, hopefully. See what they've done. What they've done. What about the Nick news? Yeah, so I definitely expected this question to come up. I have no information. I have had no conversations with anyone involved. I know nothing. And so my stance is to always believe the best and just assume the best about a situation. And then just, you know, we'll see what happens. So my stance is I am assuming the best. And you know, it sucks. It sucks, you know, for Eminem, it sucks for Nick, like, it, you know, it's so, but yeah, I don't have any thoughts at all. I don't have any insights, nothing. So, but I am, like you all, probably, you know, I'm just watching, just seeing what I am gonna die if I keep just aimlessly running around. Yeah, Adrelin. I miss Evercraft. I'm going to be honest. I wish they were still called Evercraft Online. I'm assuming they probably got some heat from that, maybe, because that's just a great name. But I wonder. I don't know if it's like either like a Daybreak pressure, maybe, or like if it was like a. We don't want to be associated with Minecraft pressure kind of thing. I don't know. But it was a great name. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna stream it, Bash. Just general thoughts. Yeah, so general thoughts on Monsters and Memories is I think that I'll try to take it in buckets. I think they've done a great job with their art style in general. I think it's really come together, and I think it's really working for them. We talked about that a little bit on the last stream, just with the difference between developing areas for Pantheon, for example, versus Monsters and Memories in a game like that, where it's a much more minimalistic approach to environment design and like prop detail and set dressing. And it's important to understand, like, it's not a good or a bad thing. It's not a right or a wrong thing. It's just two totally different approaches. It's a very efficient approach, for sure. And it definitely allows them to get more world built more quickly. And I think they've done a really good job marrying it together. Like, I think the game, it looks good for what they are going for and how they're using Unity. I think it looks good. It's one of those things that you're definitely going to like it or not. Personally, I think I like Adrulen. I'm just gonna call it Evercraft. Adrulen. I love Minecraft. I really like Hytale. I have no issue with visuals like that. So, in the same way, Monsters and Memories doesn't bother me. There's a lot of people that look at it and they're like, it's too whatever. But I could definitely get into it. There's, as far as the, okay, and then the other question was, as far as the EQ vibe, I think Monsters and Memories does a great job of capturing that as well. With their, like, the way the game feels, the pacing, they've really captured, I mean, EQ is a great rubric, you know, it's a great rubric for, like, world feel, right? So I think they've done a good job with that. I think, again, I haven't played it, but from what I've seen and from what I've heard, I think they seem to be doing a pretty good job on that. I think what I'm going to be really interested to see, and you know, I think it's good to have just like open conversations about this kind of stuff, because Sean, like, I know Sean relatively well. I mean, decently well. And having had several conversations with him one-on-one, and then also the things that he said publicly, like, they're named niche world cult for a reason. Like, he is not afraid or ashamed to make a game that is extremely targeted for a certain audience. And I think that's exactly what they're doing. And he has stood firm on certain things that, like, I mean, no matter how you slice it, they have a direct impact on the accessibility of the game, for sure. And would they probably have more people more interested in playing it if they changed some of those things? Maybe, probably. But that's not what they're trying to make. So it's going to be really interesting to see with all of these projects what the right balance is, if there is one, of old school and new school, you know? And I think that's a question mark for him and him. It's a question mark for us, you know? Because you can argue at the same time, like, you can stay too far on the side of classic old school, or you can walk too far to the other side of where it's like, how are you meaningfully different from a World of Warcraft or a Final Fantasy 14 or, you know, something like that. So it's an interesting line. So but I think as far as sticking to their guns and stuff, I think they're doing a good job. You know, I'm starting to see some chatter about like I think one of the main on the Reddit, one of the main kind of topics right now is just related to like combat depth. And I'm interested to see where that goes, because you've got two sides to that. You've got the side that wants more depth, that wants more decisions in combat, more, you know, interaction. And then you've got the side that's like, no. Like this is, the whole point is like a truly like era appropriate experience of combat, meaning like don't want a whole lot of stuff, you know? Don't want a lot of activity in combat. Hold on. Yeah, I don't think there's any cash grabbing going on at all with Monsters and Memories, and I say that primarily. I say that because I know Sean, and I mean, no, I think they've more gone out of their way to keep it from getting into that. No, I have no worries about that whatsoever. Mm-mm. While we're having this discussion, by the way, I'm going to run back to the Bindstone. So whoever, it'd be cool if, I don't know if we want to try to push into the goblins or if we want to, I don't know, maybe I'm going to die. Goodness. Oh, let me climb. Climb. Oh, whoops. Sorry. Been running around aimlessly, huh? What's going on, Joskar? Good to see you. I saw Wolfgar join a while back. Welcome. Welcome. What's going on, Jiraki? Yeah, I will say that too. Man, like, if there's one thing that I feel like Adrenaline is absolutely knocking out of the park, it is their even with the block graphics, my goodness, it is such a good looking immersive world. I'm so impressed, and I remember feeling that the first time I played it and I went through the Ogre City. I was like, this place is sick. This is so good. And then some of the streams I've been watching the last few days, people playing, there's this like new kind of like woodland village or whatever, and I'm just like, man, they've really done a good job of taking these Minecraft graphics and like just dialing them up to 11. It's really looking good. So I can give them major kudos for that. Yeah. All right. I don't remember getting this far like over here the last time we played, but it has been a minute. Yeah, definitely try it. I will say this, out of between Pantheon, Monsters and Memories, which again, haven't played personally, but from what I have seen and what I have heard, I would say that Adrenaline, to me, is the most true one-to-one EverQuest kind of feel out of the three. That, in my opinion. So if you like EverQuest, and I mean like classic EverQuest, then I think you would definitely like Adrenaline. What's going on, John? Good to see you. Motive as well. Tyrion. Yeah, I'm curious about that too. How they're doing like discoverables and interactables in Adrenaline, because I had that feeling last time. I was like, there is so much detail, so much awesome detail in the world, and it makes you want to like interact with things. Curious how they're going to do that. What's going on in the stars? Good to see you. Yes, Wizard Hype indeed. Indeed. I don't understand. So the whole this conversation about Adrenaline being like a cash grab, like where are they? Have they even taken money? Maybe they haven't. I just missed it. No? Okay. No, just let me play is not a troll. I don't think he has a strong opinion about this. I don't think he's a troll. I know he's not a troll. Okay, I'm just gonna invite who I see. What's going on, Ranthorn? Good to see you. I am doing well. We're just getting rolling here. Guys, let me know if this is too loud. What's going on, SE? Been a minute since I've been here. Glad to see you. Are well? I am well indeed. Good to see you as well. Kurdigan, welcome. Can you explain what Lich Line is? Lich Line, yes. That is a throwback to the EverQuest line of spells where it's a buff that every tick it's taking away health and giving you mana. So the Necromancer currently has a Lich Line that drains their health over time while in exchange for 6 of mana. Just walking into the room, I thought those first few notes were "My Heart Will Go On." That's funny. So you want to be a little better than it is now? Yeah, so the whole kind of vibe with that line of spells is to create a nice kind of tension and risk reward for the Necromancer, where they can, at the expense of their health, they can kind of keep their mana rate higher, allow them to stay more active and kind of replenish more easily. But you have to be careful because, the lower health you get, then something goes wrong, or if you forget that it's on there, then we'll probably end up taking the failsafe away from it as well. Like right now, it won't take you below 1 point of health, but to kind of boost the vibe of the ability, we'll probably take that away. So you actually have to kind of make sure that it's not going too far. I would say in general, guys, like I'm ready to not. I don't know. I'm just so tired of like drama surrounding these different MMO projects. It's like, like let's wait until something actually happens that we can like point to and say, okay, because this is now known, then that means this is, a cash grab or a scam or whatever. MMOs are incredibly difficult to make. There are so many ups and downs. There are so many things that happen behind the scenes that nobody has any idea. And I'm sure there's all manner of ways that things can look from the outside, but the reality is like, I don't know. Let's just. I mean, I understand speculation is fun, but okay, so we've got 4 of us. Let's see. Was Dr. Feelgood able to join? Did he respond? Plugging back to Paladin. Let me see. Ah, okay. One Shaman or Ranger. What do we got? We got Ranger, Druid. I don't know, guys. Do we want Druid or wait? Do we want Ranger or Shaman? We already have one Ranger. Do we think maybe extra heals would be good, or do we want extra deeps? Online media doesn't work without controversy, so that's why crap like that keeps happening. Fair. Extra heals. Let's do extra heals. You can bring both. Probably a good idea to bring both, and then we'll just, we can slot it in or out. Love the Necromancer, Cleric, Necro, and Ranger are top 3 for me. Nice. Good. Good. Do we want to do Galdassi, or do we want to do... Let's try Galdassi. Let's see how it goes. I'm a little concerned, but let's see how it goes. Those Mire Guards, man. What level do you need to be to group for Nightfall Crypt? It depends on the class. Like, if you're going into tank, I would be... the closer you are to 30 or at 30, like level 30 would be a good place to go. You could technically do it depending on your gear and the gear of the group and whatnot at like level 28 would be reasonable. But what's Glorf up to? I think all of Glorf's characters are over on the other side. They're over in Thronefast. Zevix, I think so. All right, we're gonna start with the Shaman. We're gonna start with the Shaman. We'll see how that goes in group. And then we'll switch out for Ranger if we find we don't need the extra heals. Joppa, will we get a preview of the mastery skill trees maybe soon? Yes. Yes, indeed. In fact, one of the things that I need to work on today, one of the things I'll be working on later, is the upcoming dev diary. We're going to start really getting down into some details for our tanks and their mastery. And that will be the first of several blogs that we'll go deep with. And that's why I say in the next couple weeks, I'm going to be transitioning more on stream to actually doing some of that work. You guys can see. Yeah. Yeah, Glorf, I gotcha. That makes sense. Is this a specific hardcore server? No, this is a self-imposed hardcore rule set. Yep. I think it's fascinating that way back in 2014 when Pantheon was announced, there were not many game devs wanting to delve into MMOs, and Pantheon was, I believe, the hope for the MMO genre. Here we are 12 years later with a slew of MMOs coming out soon. For the record, Pantheon was first. It's true. In many ways. In many ways. MMOs are the hardest games to make. Without question, it is not even close. And they're also the most romanticized things to make and build and work on. And there's a very interesting process of really understanding what it takes to create an MMO. It is, yeah. Very tough, very, very rewarding. Yeah, there was a question about healing. I missed it. So in Pantheon, all 3 healers will be able to main heal late game. Yes, that is the goal. That is the design plan. When are we going to get higher level Nightfall Crypts? I don't know. But you will. You will get them. Okay. I mean, I think everybody in guild that's in zone. Hold on. I think this is it. I think we are it. So let's give it a try. You guys ready? Juananda, the truth is it's easier and better for me to just avoid that topic completely. You know? As much as I would love to speak to it, just better to avoid it. Yep. All right, here we go. Let's see how this is gonna feel. It's been a minute. I will say though, it's nice not having to heal or tank because I feel like I can talk to you guys and don't have to worry about it. So we're on a wizard. I noticed that in a lot of these streams, I don't do a very good job of like talking about what's happening. So I'm gonna take a second and just kind of break down what's going on here, okay? What do we have going on here? So I'm playing a wizard. Wizard in Pantheon is a DPS class. I could put on the, should I put on the, put on some like infomercial elevator music here? I'm just kidding. Wizard's a DPS class. And what we're going for with the wizard is part of what made the EverQuest wizard so great, in my opinion. And that is, the wizard was intended to be a class that had unrivaled damage potential. When it came to just like outright deleting something, the wizard was the best at doing that. The problem was, even with all that power, the wizard was really hampered and struggled with resistances and also with their really high mana cost, really slow mana regeneration. And so the life of a wizard in EverQuest typically revolved around sitting a lot, and then every so often, every 2, 3, 4 fights or whatever, standing up and casting a spell. So our goal with the Pantheon wizard has been to try and preserve as much of that feeling as possible, of that like unbridled power, but also make the wizard more of an more active and not as like, well, I've got to sit down now for another 10 minutes. So to that end, what we've created is a kind of a 3 school of magic class in the wizard. We've got the fire, the cold, and the shock. And my ability arsenal as a wizard aligns with those 3 schools. And also, one of the wizard's mechanics is their focus resource. So you see I have mana, but I also have focus, and these 3 focus wheels correspond to one of those 3 schools of magic: fire, cold, and shock. And it's this really nice system. I mean, it's not perfect. We still have some work to do on it, but it's a good start towards allowing wizards to kind of, when they want to, just outright delete something. But also, if they're being a little bit more, I don't know, mindful about efficiency, they can stay in the fight longer. And I think it's this really nice balance. And so what you'll see me doing as we're fighting is I'm watching these focus charges and my mana, and I'm not doing it super well right now because I have some other abilities that actually help me do it better. But every spell I cast is using some amount of these focus charges. So like my main shock nuke is using 3 shock charges, which is the purple one actually. Main fire nuke's using 3 fire charges. But the interesting thing is, if I run out of shock charges, like if I were to keep casting this shock spell, you're gonna see I've depleted all my shock charges, and I also depleted some of these because I didn't have 3 shock charges. And when you don't have enough shock charges, you end up pulling from your other charges to make it work. And when you don't have enough of any charges, you actually start dipping into your health to actually get the spell off. So what I've been learning as I've been spending more time on the wizard, hearing from you guys, again, designing these classes for myself, for Mark, for Soya, it's not the same as playing them and playing them, you know, enough. But been learning that it's actually really nice to kind of pick 2 schools that you like and kind of rotate between them, because you also have this really cool mechanic here, this elemental weaving mechanic, where whenever I cast a spell from a different school, like if I keep casting the same spell over and over again, I'm not going to get that elemental weaving. But when I cast the same, like cast a spell from a different school back and forth like that, it creates this weaving effect that increases my my outgoing damage by a total of 10%. And then last stream, I'm remembering I got this spell that allows me to nuke the snot out of something based on those stacks. What happened? Oh, I need to invite somebody. There we go. What's going on, Lancey? Has character customization at the beginning of the game improved yet? Not yet, but that is something we are going to be focusing on this year. Can I share a learning experience from your time making your first MMO? Oh, man. Well, let me think about that a little bit. So see, I'm starting to generate these weaving stacks. I'm switching back and forth between shock and fire, building those up. I also have these abilities that allow me to replenish my focus charges, so I can keep rolling. Except I got a nice resist there. Now, next fight, or now, I'm going to actually use this, which I should have been using already. That's going to give me a focus charge back once that finishes. Perfect. Do you want both of these on it? Oh, no. That's mana. Forgot. Okay, let's use our big hitter. Let's see how much it does. Damn. It's not bad. Yeah, nuke the snot. I mean, you imagine just nuking something so hard, all the snot just blows out of their nose. Grats on the ding. Whoever dinged, grats. Yeah, Elliot, give it a try. I mean, it takes some getting used to, but I feel like once you kind of get used to it, it feels really good. Ah, yep. Right on. We picked up a cleric, so we're replacing the shaman with a ranger, so now we got even more DPS. I like it. The wizard didn't get much love until after POK. I gotcha. Question, will all of us doing early access now be able to access the game post-spring launch? Yes, and Elliot, to be clear, the spring update is not the 1.0 launch of the game. The spring update is just a major patch that also happens to be a wipe. We're wiping all of the game's like character data and kind of starting everything back over fresh. But we are still in early access. This is not the 1.0 launch. A learning experience. I mean, there's so many, like... Oh, man. I'll just pick one. And it might not be a super satisfying answer, but it's what's coming to mind. It would be get your character model, get your art style fully nailed down at the very beginning, and don't try to make something work that isn't going to work. That would be, if I could go back in time and sit myself down and say, hey, calm down. I know you're excited. You got to do this. Like, you've got to make sure you do this. It would be number one, get the friggin' art style nailed down. Make sure it's going to work long term. Don't try to force something that is not going to work long term. And then number two, it would be get your character models and your system for governing like gear nailed down early. Like, go through the process, go through the steps, do your trial and error early, figure it out. These are things that when I first started on this team, I didn't even know to think about. And depending on how long you followed this project, like, you may or may not know that, I mean, I had no game development experience before starting on this project. Everything I know about game development has come from, learning it as we've gone. Now, the other important note there is that I did not start on this project in the position I'm in. I started actually as the music composer. I didn't need to know anything about game development, but started learning about game development by being part of the team. Ended up getting involved in the lore and some of the writing and content design of the game, and just slowly over time started getting into some world building, and over time started spending more and more time in sessions with artists, programmers, designers, various things, and just learning a lot. Not to mention the fact that I was able to develop a pretty close friendship with the game's founder. Did I nuke myself to death? I think I killed myself on that one. Which, being on a hardcore run, is a little bit more of a big deal. I need to pay attention. Thankfully, the rules of this hardcore run is, as long as I don't release, as long as I get a res, then we can keep going. But we're okay. We're okay. But anyway, good question. Those would be the two things that I would, out of the many, that I would say I've learned And then I would add on top of that, like, again, if I'm sitting across from myself 12 years ago, I would say this is going to be so much harder than you can even imagine. Like, buckle up. Buckle up. This is going to be so much harder than you could possibly imagine. It's kind of like parenting. All right, let me sit down. I didn't use my Phoenix Fire. Like, there are so many things I did not do. Oh. Wouldn't game engine be first for number of targets on servers? Hold on. Need to get in my flow here a little bit. Then we get Static Storm on the target. Okay. Very nice. Oh, I'm out of mana. Okay. Let me guess, Rand, that's from our good friend Bronson. And the answer is no. No, I'm not. Okay, let's get Static Storm back on there. I actually really enjoy the Nervous Magic cantrip as well. I know, talking to Fasoya, like this cantrip is actually meant to have upgrades. So it'll actually get a little bit stronger as you go along. Which maybe it does currently have upgrades, I'm not sure. But I actually really like it. This, like, no mana cost, just kind of... when you don't have focus charges, or when the target's low on health, whatever it is, like, having that cantrip is really cool. Yeah, wouldn't game engine be first for or number of targets on servers? I've seen so many MMOs change engines change engines because it couldn't scale to their vision. I think that's what you're asking. I mean, not really so much in this case. Like, I think Unity, for what it is, has served us well. I don't know that we would... Thanks, guys. I don't know that we would... even if we could go back and change it, I don't know that we would. Oh, just a feeling, Ran. Just a feeling. Just a hunch. Just a hunch. After the spring wipe, do you think there will be any more before release? The answer is I don't know. The answer is I don't know. The only other one that we are planning on formally, officially, is the one at 1.0. But we have to leave the possibility in place. That cartwheel shield looks interesting, yeah. It looks pretty Looks pretty basic and kind of weird, which is the goal. Drops, can you talk about how masteries will affect raid composition? Yeah, that's a really cool topic. Or a really cool thing to think about. Because they certainly will. And we're not far off from being able to have those kind of conversations and discussions with actual like details. You know, where we can look at like the Dire Lord's mastery and say, okay, like, you know, based on this, it looks like Dire Lords are going to be, you know, able to kind of serve in this capacity and maybe this capacity and maybe this capacity. You know, maybe there's like different raid comps we could start to think about, but it certainly will affect it for sure. Let's see. So the fighter won't be the only tank, the cleric will be able to tank it with all. No, it's not going to be that freeform. So each class will have 2 branches essentially that they can choose between. One of them will be the mainline role of the class. So in Pantheon, a warrior is the mainline warrior role is a tank. The mainline paladin role is a tank. The mainline Dire Lord role is a tank. Those are the 3 tank classes. But each of those tank classes will have a secondary branch or kind of an off spec, a spec that takes them off of that main line and allows them to kind of more permanently flex into a different role. The warrior and the Dire Lord, in the case of the warrior and the Dire Lord, their second branch is a DPS branch that will allow them to function more as a DPS class in a group, whereas the paladin is actually a healing branch. So the paladin can either be a tank or a healer. And then there are some other classes like the monk, who the monk's mainline class is a DPS class. But the monk will actually have the ability to become a tank through their second mastery branch. And it's different for each class. And that's because they're tailored to kind of make sense within those classes. Kind of line up with the lore of what the classes are and what they're connected to and things like that. So the monk, again, you know, they can become an evasion tank, a tank built on, you know, some self-healing, but a lot of like passive and activated abilities that allow them to avoid damage. But then also the mainline DPS for the monk. And when I say permanent, I don't mean permanent as in like it's like immutable. I just mean, well, yeah, originally, before we introduced this like kind of specialization system through mastery, originally classes were only one role, period. Like a warrior was, let me use a better example. Like a rogue was a rogue. Like all rogues were the same completely, but they could flex temporarily into a different kind of role. So like a rogue would join a group to deal damage, period. That's why you have a rogue, but they could flex for a short time into like crowd control, using traps, using various different things. The mastery system, what I mean by permanent is instead of flexing for a short amount of time, this is actually giving you the opportunity to more kind of fully become that flex role. But you will be able to respec your mastery. You'll be able to to switch it up. And the other key note is not all classes have a totally different role available to them. Some of them, it's more about a difference in how they express their role. So a wizard is a DPS class, and one of my mastery branches will be about improving my, you know, kind of what you're seeing here currently. But then their other branch is going to be a spellblade, which is also a DPS class, but it's like a more of a melee close range oriented wizard, which I'm really pumped about. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, you will be able to respect your mastery. It'll be at an increasing cost most likely. So like however many points you've spent in mastery will determine the cost of the respec. And you won't be able to do it on the fly either. You will have to travel back to like a town to do it. All right, I got 10 stacks of elemental weaving. Let's see what happens here. How hard this hits. Boom. Cool. It's a really pretty ability. Will the cleric have a melee aspect? Yes, the cleric actually is going to be interesting because the cleric within their healing, mainline healing branch will have options for casted and melee healing built into that. Their secondary branch is actually a smite cleric DPS branch. Yeah. Jawanda. As a composer myself, are you interested in more input suggestions of Attuned Mind at the moment? Well, so I am no longer the composer. I'm still technically the audio director, but I kind of do that in tandem with Phil from PVL. So he's kind of the audio director of PVL, and then he and I, collaborate often on the audio of the game. But all of our music, all of our sound effects, all of the sound design and tech and engine work and all that stuff is handled by PVL. And they're absolutely phenomenal. They are amazing. We are so fortunate to have them. And like I've shared before, it's really cool because they're not only amazing sound designers, but they're like super passionate about the game. Like super passionate about the game. Isn't a melee cleric just a paladin? Well, when I say a melee cleric, the paladin healer is going to probably be the closest to like to that kind of a feel, I guess you could say, because the paladin healer is going to be much more about healing through melee. Whereas the cleric is going to have more of a casted kit, whether they're up close or far away, but it's going to be more about how they manage their mana return and kind of, their upkeep and throughput will be, you'll be able to kind of lean more into like a melee oriented mana management or a meditate oriented mana management, depending on your druthers. So are we looking at moving from 3 healers to at least 4 with masteries, all capable of raid healing? At least 4. At least 4. Likely 5. And yes, capable. The idea is that these roles, these branches the end point would be like capable in a group and in a raid setting of fulfilling that role. Yeah. No news for Bard lovers just yet, David. No news just yet. Oh, that's cool, Joanna. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can definitely reach out for sure. What I would do, honestly, if you have ideas and stuff, like audio related ideas, I would just on the Discord, I would start a new thread and just kind of drop it there. And that way you can get not only like PVL's eyes on it, but you can get, you know, some input from the community and stuff too. That would be my suggestion. Will the melee wizard Spellblade have to wear robes like a caster wizard, or will they wear cloth armor more similar melee fighter type? They will definitely still be relegated to cloth, and we are exploring the idea of allowing them to advance into the martial cloth category. Drop an honest question here. What happens in the instance where someone likes the base class but not the mastery lines for their class? Is there a detriment to not wanting to go into mastery line, or are there alternatives for purists? Yeah, that's an interesting question. Trying to think of the best way to answer that. A river tooth. One second. Let's see how long we can go here. And we keep it going. One more of these. And now we are going to rock the nervous magic, and boom. Not bad. Not bad. Hey, what's up, Dayhawk? 50 is a rumored cannibal, but no one can prove who 58. Thank you. Thank you, Dayhawk. Okay. So, Phoenix, what happens in the instance where someone likes the base class but not the mastery line for their class? So, by the way, before I forget, and then I will keep going. Noble, thank you so much for the Prime sub and the 3 months. Sorry I missed that. It is much appreciated, my friend. And Kurgan with a 40 stream streak. That is so cool. So cool. Thank you, guys. So, yeah, think about mastery as... I could understand somebody, for example, like, if you're a fan of the Dire Lord, you like the Dire Lord because you want to tank, and you like the way the Dire Lord is designed as a tank, the Nightmare branch, which is your tank branch for the Dire Lord, the Nightmare branch is going to be very much in line with that kind of base kit for the Dire Lord. It's going to enhance, it's going to expand, it's going to deepen, it's going to create synergies. So I'm not concerned, and then to finish that thought, I can understand somebody not wanting to be a DPS Dire Lord. They're not interested in playing the Dire Lord to DPS, so the Carnage branch of the Dire Lord, the DPS side, is not going to be, that may not resonate with them because they are more of a fan of the base class and the mainline class. So that's how I would answer that, is like, it's going to come down to whether or not you like the base class, you like the base role, and so you're gonna just keep leaning into that, or maybe you are interested in, you know, the secondary class. So I don't know if that answers the question, but yep. Mm-hmm. So there's one mastery for all classes that makes your wizard just a stronger base wizard, for instance. Essentially, yeah. Like one of the mastery branches, I call it kind of the main line branch or whatever, but yeah, one of the classes is designed to push your kind of the, because remember, like when you start, once the mastery system comes in, right, you're going to start a brand new character. You're going to be a wizard, and wizard may not even be the best example. Let's go with the paladin. You're going to, every class is going to have a base kit. Now there are going to be some abilities that unlock in mastery or through mastery that are meant to be more kind of exclusive to that branch. There are some new abilities that are not part of the base kit that only come through mastery, where you have to get to a certain point of progression through the branch as you're deciding which things to unlock, and there'll be maybe a new ability in there. But aside from those exceptions, the classes share a base kit. That means that a paladin is going to have some healing spells in their base kit, just like the tank paladin is going to have healing spells in their base kit. They already do. It's not that big of a deal. But also the healing paladin is going to have tank abilities in their base kit. What it means is, as you progress in levels, and as you just first get started being able to interact with mastery at all, there's going to be less of a clear kind of like defined role that you fill until you get far enough along in one of those branches to really kind of more fully start taking that shape. For example, the healer paladin will unlock certain heals in their healing branch of mastery that the tank paladin is not going to have enough points to get to if they're interested fully in tanking. Is a really cool design that we're working out, where there's kind of this innate balance between being able to hybridize, which for people that are more interested in maybe in like solo play or small group play, or just experimenting with different things, where you can spend your points purposely to kind of like ride the line between the two. Whereas, obviously you can go fully into the healing branch as a paladin, or fully into the tanking branch if that's all you intend to do and care about. And maybe you'll pick up a couple of like early branch stuff on the other side just to complement your or tanking or whatever. I keep answering your questions as you type them out. Good. Well, just know it's at the expense of paying attention to my group here, so I'm sure they appreciate it. What's going on, Vicious? Good to see you. Hardcore journey going well. I did die for a second, but I was revived. I was resurrected, so it didn't count. Do I still need bags? Yes, I do. I actually have one slot. Thank you so much. Did you give it to me, or did I? Oh yeah, no, you did. It auto-populated there, so I got it. Thank you for that. Thank you. I like the way you describe these mastery lines as choices we're making along the way. To me, that's a really good character progression, but is it actually a big choice if we can just respec? It is a big choice, I think, because not only is there going to be, and I cannot wait until we can have like an actual mastery tree in front of us so we can talk about it, but like the goal is that even within a single branch, like the Nightmare branch for the Dire Lord, if you want to tank, there's a lot of different potential choices you can make depending on what you enjoy, depending on what you find to be, you know, the easiest for you to play or the most effective, what have you. And I think maybe this will sound like mental gymnastics to some, but like for me, it's so important that all this stays grounded in like the overall lore and identity of these classes. Like the Dire Lord, even though you've got this Nightmare and this Carnage kind of expression, they're all the Dire Lord. And what that means to me is the decisions that you make, they're weighty to the degree that you can't change it on the fly. You have to travel somewhere to be able to do it. It costs money to be able to do it. There is some weight to changing it up. But it's also supporting the fact that it's all part of being a Dire Lord. And in that sense, I feel like it's the right balance. I think if it were permanent, or if there was some kind of like crazy cooldown on it, and we may still do a cooldown, we may still have some cooldown on it, I'm not sure yet. But I feel like that would be, I don't know, it just wouldn't feel as good to me. It would not feel as good. Ding, by the way. Level 12. I don't think I have any of my spells on me. It's okay. I mean, a lot of wizard spells are range. How will you do it for the Spellblade? Yeah, well, the Spellblade, we kind of laugh about this when we discuss it, but yeah, the Spellblade is going to be one of the most like transformational mastery specs for sure, in terms of how it alters the base abilities, the new abilities that unlock. It's going to be a pretty significant shift. I'm glad it's exciting to you, Lethal. Saw your message, by the way. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I mean, it definitely does have some of that ninja-like vibe for sure. I get Portal in my first familiar. I forgot about the familiar and Portal. Would you guys miss it terribly if I ran back and got spells? Yes, Elliot, we are... No, I'm sorry. Yes. Yes. I had like 3 thoughts shoot through my brain there in one moment. So, yes, I have surpassed Deathless, which was our first character in the hardcore run. Deathless died at level 11. We have now hit level 12. Raw sick. No, they are too rare. Those two encounters are a little bit too rare, for sure. A Summoner Stone of Mastery change. Whew. That might be pushing the class utility a little bit. Oh. How are, as you add masteries and possible new classes to the game, how are they being balanced towards in-game rating? Well, the good news about balance is that, to a degree, it's all numbers. And as long as numbers are tracked and understood and accounted for, then, you know, you can tune it up. But we are definitely accounting for, you know, late game as well as like all the way through, not only with mastery stuff, but just with a lot of the balancing changes we're making for spring. Because remember, we're unifying NPCs, and a couple of other things that are, it's all part of the overall recipe. I've got full bags now, guys. Yeah, I am set on bags. Scribe spells freely. So there's no like ceiling on that at all. Like you can literally scribe. If you could afford to buy all of your spells up to level 50, you could go ahead and just scribe them all in the book right then and be done. Is there anything lost in that? I don't know. Just the feels. Hey, I'm gonna take a quick bio break, guys, and then when I come back, I'm gonna run and get spells, and then we can keep rolling. But I need a quick bio. Be right back. Alrighty, we're back. We're back. Okay, there is just the one matter of, like, actually making it back safely. So I might hold off, actually, on trying to make that run back. All right, let me catch up on chat. Chatterino. Has any kind of kick attack of any type. I assume what you mean by kick attack is more of like an acrobatic kind of like kick attack. Or a, I should say, yeah, like a true ninja-esque kick type attack. Don't see anything lost in it. Another nice feature is the spell vendors. Show if you know a spell already in the vendor tab. We've got a lot of improvements to make there, for sure. Adrenaline Online allows you to scribe spells of any level into your book. Oh, I thought... Into your book, Sorry, I'm reading lots of different messages right now. Let me finish yours, Flea. You just can't cast them until the appropriate level. To be honest, I think it's kind of genius. What does it matter? Really saves inventory space. You can't cast the spell until the level anyway. And if you can afford them, why not? That's fair. I mean, that's fair. I think what I'm concerned about losing, maybe, in the field department, probably is handled through the fact that you're not going to be able to buy all of your spells from vendors anyway, and so you are still waiting to have that moment of scribing certain spells, and I think as long as that is still intact in some way, then yeah, I mean, it's something we can explore. I definitely see the where it could be a cool thing. Yo, what's up, Gus? Playing WoW hardcore and seeing you testing hardcore for Pantheon is really cool to see. Hope it'll be as exciting to play as vanilla WoW. Keep going strong. Yeah, that is the hope. It's an experience unlike much else, and I do hope that it's it feels nicely engaging for sure. It's been, you know, it feels a little different because it always feels a little bit different when it's like self-imposed. I'm excited when we can actually get, you know, like a rule set in place that governs the hardcoring. Drop a big picture. Call of the hero for group raid. Summon corpse when that goes wrong. Respec stone. There's a market. Call of the hero. Tell you what, I just think Call of the hero is too. It's just a step too far. It's a step too far. I never did play Ragnarok Online. I never did. A keyring would be amazing, and a keyring is definitely coming. Thank you so much. That's a nice amount of these now. Mm-hmm. I think we need to discuss serious issues you've been neglecting. Where is the beanie? Why have you not found it? Are you even searching for it? I don't know. I don't know. And yes. Yeah, stuck bind. Telling you what, I'm very curious because I know when I do find it, wherever it is, it's gonna be mind blowing. Wherever this thing is gone. Yeah. Cryo shock. Remember, some of your favorite EQ spells didn't come until way later. They can't give us everything all at the beginning, or there's nothing to look forward to. That's right. And there's actually some debate on that, you know? Some people want to have more sooner. And I get that. Congrats on Ding, by the way. One of the things that I've been doing as I've been going through kind of the final passes of like getting class mastery just worked through and ready for implementation is, you know, obviously we have general class updates coming in the spring as well. So finishing the class kits, making sure, you know, all the classes have fleshed out kits all the way up to level 50. There may be some new abilities coming in and, you know, some adjustments to how some of the abilities work, various things, but that's one of the things I've been trying to do and trying to be very intentional about is making sure that there are milestones all the way up, because and Master's going to help with this to a degree, but yeah, like when you got all your abilities by level 20 and then it's, you know, 30 more levels of just upgrades, that's tough. Now, you can do it. And even some of the things we think about in EQ, where what they did was they focused less on like novel abilities or new abilities, and they focused more on magnitude. So if you think of something like Ice Comet, hugely iconic ability. But it's just a nuke. It's just an ice nuke. The difference is it did so much friggin' damage. The magnitude of it is what made it special. So you can also lean into that as well, which is part of what we're trying to, you know, one of the things we're trying to pay attention to is like where does it need to be like new and where does it need to be magnitude related? Because I think magnitude is also really compelling, you know. Not before the reset, Porter, no. It will, 40, it will, so Dire Lords will be able to use Light Plate, the change that we're making. But, yeah, I mean, Dire Lords also have a lot of other things that they're going to be able to lean into for mitigation. will be, that's actually something we're going to be talking about in the blog that coming out sometime soon. Going into more detail about that. Pretty pumped about it. Pretty pumped about it. We're losing our minds over this weight. Being a gamer's hard. I know. I know. You have, like, draw some comfort from the fact that being a dev is hard too. Because we're waiting too. It's easier for us, I know, because we're working on all the things that you guys are waiting on. So there's like a different sense of like time passage. But we're super freaking excited. It is hard to wait. I'm totally fine to go in if you guys are. I mean, if we don't want to play it like super safe, I'm down. Oh, we're barely clearing before pops. Okay, then yeah, we're probably right where we need to be. I'm addicted to Ranger Joppa, probably the most immersive class in the game for me. Nice. It's a lot of fun. I actually, I started kind of plinking around on one before we got into the hardcore stuff, and I missed not being able to take it further. Why would Dire Lords wear light plate? It seems that they should wear dark plate. Nice. Nice. Not today, Rand, but won't be too long. Won't be too long. Nice crit. I feel like I should really be opening with Static Storm. I'm gonna get that ticking on there. Oh, pulled aggro. Ah, pulled aggro. But I didn't run. No, sir, I didn't run. Stood my ground. Okay. Charge back up here. Might be able to get a an elemental weaving nuke off on this fight. Pretty sure we will. This will be 9 stacks. Boom! Oh, that's so pretty. Man, that's so pretty. Yo, Rand, take care. Catch you soon. Any new races? Yeah. That we're thinking about, yeah. Nothing firm yet. Rats. I mean, you know, obviously we still need to get the launch roster of races fully in. And all the character customization stuff, but when we think about, like, beyond, when we think about, you know, there's definitely some strong contenders for sure. For sure. One of them, actually, you guys haven't been fully introduced to yet. Meaning, like, a contender, not a definite thing. But I don't know, Alinar. I don't know. Maybe Maybe someday there'll be some info about them. Maybe someday. I'm actually excited about all the new NPC types that we're introducing with Body of Dekara. It'll be really cool. The gelatinous cube. Yeah, so playable gelatinous cubes. Can you imagine? Instead of like wearing armor, it's about like what armor is kind of like in the cube. Kind of jostling around. Turbo, yes, absolutely 100%. We will absolutely have PvP zones, like arena type zones, not full zones, I should say. PvP areas, designated areas for PvP on PvE servers. So if you physically go to like a battle arena or something like that, then that would be a place where you could engage in PvP. And then also a duel feature, yeah, for sure. 100%. Resist. Come on. 2 resists in a row. Oh, this is an issue. The expulsion and fortification should actually be in spell skills. That's interesting. Interesting. That gelatinous cube thing, that's the perfect kind of thing for like an April Fool's joke for a game like this. We're proud and pleased and excited to announce the introduction of the playable gelatinous cube, the newest race coming to Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Now you can squish, squirt, and gyrate your way around the wild, untamed lands of Terminus. Yeah, imagine doing the sound for it's right. I think Phil would actually really enjoy that. Let's see. Yo, Titan Heroes, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Appreciate that big time. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Dark Elves? With the Elven lore and kind of like a lot of the racial kind of nuances and details with the elves, I definitely think it could be a thing. Yeah, could be a thing. Skeleton race, and I don't know, ever since the WoW did the Forsaken, I'm not sure how much a skeleton race could actually feel fresh, you know? I don't know. An aphid race. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm really excited to get the Scar in because they represent in many ways, I feel like, kind of the truly, like, I don't know, kind of the monstrous side of the character repertoire. So that's going to be a cool, when you think of like the spectrum of what the different kind of races look like and represent, it's going to be really nice to get them in. It's going to be awesome to get gnomes in as well, just because they're also so different, like being largely like energy, ethereal, but also like so small. They're really They're definitely the smallest race, so it's gonna be cool to have that part of that spectrum in as well. Gonna be good. Yo, dude, Andrew, thank you so much for the Prime sub, my friend. Thank you for the 4 months as well. That's awesome. Thank you, thank you. Would what be a tank? Nims asks, with mastery, will, let's say, a paladin be a tank that can spec healer, or will it be a tank or healer? It's a good question. I think it probably most closely fits the second one, because even though the base kit, like I was saying earlier, the healer paladin does require some new abilities that will be unlocked in mastery, but the base kit largely covers both. It largely covers both. So the question then is, what role is mastery actually playing? Like, if you didn't engage with mastery at all, could you tank? And the answer is yes, up to a point. The answer increasingly becomes no the higher level you get, and the higher level, like the higher level content you're dealing with. So for a paladin to be able to tank effectively, they would need to continue to progress through their mastery, to improve and empower some of their base kit abilities, to create new synergies between them, and to mastery is also going to be the primary way that you guys will engage in your stat scaling for your abilities as well. So I think it's probably best to say that it's really kind of an either or thing. Because you'll get to the point eventually where you're not going to be able to tank effectively if you're not progressing that mastery. Just like you're not going to be able to heal effectively if you're not progressing that mastery. Hopefully that makes sense. And that's why the mastery points, the class mastery, comes through levels. General mastery, which is much, much smaller scale, more incremental type stuff, that comes through gaining mastery experience and just kind of slowly over time gaining those general mastery points. They're much more of like a slow burn kind of character progression, but the class mastery, where you really define your role, your play style, and kind of like solidify your build, that comes through levels. Scar have a horror aspect to them. They do. They do. They're intended to be... They're cannibalistic. They're borderline hive-minded. They have a very, like, overtly kind of skeletal type appearance. They're actually very... the way that I tend to think about the Scar is almost like insect-like. I remember talking to JN about this a long time ago, where like that feel like if you imagine an insect large enough to eat a human, think of like a grasshopper. You know, imagine a grasshopper chewing on a blade of grass or something like that. Those big, like those like deep black eyes. Those mechanical movements. And it's like, in some ways, I would rather be eaten by a bear than eaten by a bug, because there's this void of like anything, like they can't connect with it. It's just this almost like mechanical thing. And if you imagined that instead of a grasshopper, something much more aggressive, violent, bloodthirsty, relentless, untiring, that's kind of the scar. It's a nice thought, you know? It's very... It's light and airy, you know, thinking about something like that. Yeah, that's the scar. How do you plan on preventing Charm from being too overpowered? It's a real problem in M&M that deters grouping and needing a tank in groups due to how powerful it is there currently. We actually had a big, long discussion about Charm yesterday. Because we're getting close to getting that bad boy in the game. We've known for a long time that Charm is going to need to be managed in some way. Like, there's going to have to be some... I mean, honestly, multiple layers of controls and constraints that... And like everything, it's finding the eye of the needle. It's like, it's really working to find that balance. If you're too heavy-handed with it, then it just feels dumb. Like it's like, why, you know? I mean, it'll always have a nice flavor component, but hold on one sec. But yeah, if you don't control it in some way, then yeah, it becomes like Charm and EQ. Let me think of how you want to tackle this, because Charm and EQ was great. Enchanter was one of the classes I played in EQ the most. Like, all considered, and Charm was awesome. But it was like, it was so strong. It was so strong. And the truth is, like, yeah, in EQ, the risk wasn't that great. Like, it was, but if you knew what you were doing, I mean, you could all but mitigate the risk, really. And that's the funny thing about it, is it's like, and we get into this conversation design-wise all the time. All the time. By the way, good to see you, Nicodemus. Good to see you. Yes, there will be world dragons. Oh yeah. Yes. There will be a lot of world bosses like that. There will be some world dragons. The reason I hesitated is because they're not technically full dragons. Dragons in Pantheon are a little bit different. There are three kinds of dragons. Dragons of the air, dragons of the sea, and dragons of the earth. And there's an entire, well, I don't even remember how much we've publicly talked about this. I mean, I know we've shared that, but I don't know how far I want to go into that. But suffice to say, dragons are not as common. Like real true dragons are not as common. There are wyverns, there are drakes, like Karagos, the Watcher that we have in the game that a lot of people who play Pantheon for a while know about. Not a dragon. He's a drake. Very large one, but not a dragon. Dragons are massive, and dragons are going to be very special when you actually see one. But yeah, formerly scales, that's right. But yes, we will have that. So I don't get off track. The charm situation. Charm is a really challenging thing to balance. It's a really challenging thing to manage. I'm interested in trying this game. Is it worth waiting now? Worth trying now or waiting for the spring update with the wipe? I mean, I could go both ways with that. Like, I think it's perfectly fine to wait for the wipe. That's certainly when the population will be much higher. And there'll be all kinds of new cool stuff to try out. Everyone will be kind of starting on the same fresh starting point. So, I mean, that's definitely a good time. Some people who are intending to really go hard in the spring update with the wipe have still purchased the game and are playing it just to kind of get a feel for it. And I think that's totally valid as well. So it's really up to you. But you won't go wrong either way, I don't think. It'll give you a chance to kind of get a feel for the different classes, and having a feel for the different classes, especially if you try out like the public test realm when it opens up. As we get mastery rolled out, you'll be able to start getting a feel for the classes as they are now, but then also as you see the mastery information come out, you'll kind of be able to start mentally frameworking like what you want to do, and you'll better understand like how the classes are changing and growing and evolving when all that rolls out. Yeah. But yeah, charm's super hard to balance. I keep coming back to that. The one in the basement isn't a dragon? No, that is a wyvern. If you're talking about the white wyvern, yeah, that's not a dragon. You'll know when it's a dragon. Because it's going to be like, oh crap, that's a dragon. They're big. That one, Briar, that is a worm. It's also just a scaled up version of our current Drake, because we don't have like an Earth Dragon yet. But yeah, dragons of the Earth are not winged. They're not. They're more worm-like. So with charm, like when we do get to when we want to talk about like the details of like how do you control something like charm and keep it from getting out of hand. For one thing, because of like how Pantheon is built and how combat is, and you know the fact that we want especially, you know, when you're fighting something that's a little bit higher level, we want a full group to be able to be challenged by a single NPC. NPCs, even once we, you know, unify the NPCs in the spring, NPCs are going to need to differ from players a little bit in terms of their stats. They're going to need more health, you know, more armor and resistances and these various things to kind of like substantiate why debuffs matter, and, you know, make them able to not just get obliterated when, you know, 6 players run into a single NPC. So in that regard, like if I'm here as an enchanter and I want to charm one of these goblins, it's not going to be that the charmed goblin retains all of its health, all of its damage, all of its AC, all of its resistance. It would be too powerful. So on a fundamental level, there does need to be some degradation of that stuff. If we want to have a reasonably reliable charm mechanic, if charm is meant to be just like you never really feel like you've got a handle on the thing, and it's like breaking often and whatnot, then it's like, okay, maybe you can justify not really altering the power of the target and it being more constrained by the difficulty of keeping it under control. And then it just becomes a question of what's more fun, you know, what's actually a more enjoyable experience. And I don't really tend to see that as like a super enjoyable experience. Casgold, we'll have more info on what we're going to do server-wise fairly soon. We'll definitely be making a few changes. Yeah, Elliot, that's an awesome one. Are you talking about the Chris Kane one? Yeah, we talked about that too, just let me play. We talked about exactly that, actually, that a lot of the issues with EQ Charm didn't stem so much from the NPCs themselves, but just like how buffed they could get. When you're able to stack all those buffs on them, it's crazy how much damage they could do. Scassel, yes, as a matter of fact, we do plan to add instruments to the game that bards will be able to play. I don't know that we'll do like everybody can play an instrument, like you just like buy one and like have some kind of a mini game or something to play it. But we will have a bard class and they will be heavily instrument based. Diminishing returns on being able to hold the charm. I don't know. Again, it just comes down to like, what's the draw of charm ultimately? What's the magic of it? Because it's just not an ability that a lot of games do. This is what we were discussing yesterday, that there's a lot of games that don't do charm at all. And that's partly because it's a very hard ability to manage. Realize I'm level 13. Where do we want to go? All right, which one are we doing first? Probably this guy, yeah? Hey, what's up, Classified? No news on the spring update yet as far as like a specific date. We're not ready to announce that yet. But you know, right now the first like milestone in the series of events to get us there is definitely getting the PTR out, and that's what we're all working towards right now, is getting that ready. Titan Heroes, 100%. There's a pass. There's a world building pass we plan to do on Wild's End at some point to get some more POIs and landmarks in here, and to really flesh out like the path, the actual path through Wild's End up to Eastern Plains, the path that actually goes through Eastern Plains. It's amazing how much like a good road, a good path does for like world immersion, you know? So once we do that, and as we kind of lay that in, that'll be a good opportunity to make some quests like that. Nice, classified. That's cool. Couldn't you put Charm on a longer cooldown? You could, if you wanted to go that route and make it more like mind control from WoW. Where it's more of like an event when you like charm something, and for like a period of time, like you control that thing. I know mind control's a little bit different, but that's definitely another direction you could take it. Exclusive plans to add more life to the water, like fish, crabs, etc. Yes. Our upcoming, the spring patch that's coming up, a lot of the discussion has to do with the combat updates, the mastery, you know, the class stuff. But there's also a lot of new content coming in the spring patch. Like playable content, locations, POIs, and part of that is a massive like water based, like a bay. It's our opportunity to actually do our first pass on populating an underwater area, not only just with like prop life like coral and rock formations and kelp and various things, but also the actual NPCs and stuff, both and like NPCs that you can fight, but also more of like the critter, like, you know, ambient underwater stuff. So we'll be in a much better position once we finish working on that area to kind of come back through and apply the same past other areas as well. Perhaps some sunken treasures? I don't know. Yep, Elliot, you're correct. Rock Nilthamos. Rock Nilthamos is the name of the Dragon King. And yes, freaking gigantic. I don't know that Rock Nilthamos is on a power level and is of such an immense megalithic size. I don't know that Rock Nilthamos will ever be, like, ever be something that players even see, much less, you know, fight. So it's a really important thing that we're trying to do with Pantheon in thinking about, like, the long-term longevity of the game's lore and its context and whatnot, is making sure that, you know, the moment you let a player fight, you know, a deity or a, you know, some kind of, like, just... And the Dragon King is definitely on the level of a deity. You just... I don't know. You just... Yeah, like... But no, not like that. No. No, I'm not talking about, like, Sleeper. I'm talking, like... The way the lore goes... from eyewitness accounts, is that the Dragon King, during the Deicide War, at the end of the Deicide War, Dragon King was part of what ended the Deicide War. Dragon King erupted out of the ground in Silent Plains, and once he was fully emerged, he could be seen from anywhere on King's Reach. That's the size we're talking about here. So you could be standing down here in Wild's End and see the Dragon King, you know, over here, like, yeah. I mean, it's one of those, like, almost unreal to think about, kind of. That's how big the Dragon King is. That's fair. Though I will say, the Dragon King in one like bite killed the Ravaging Lord, and the Ravaging Lord was basically the main force behind the entire Deicide War. Called the Deicide War because you had literal deities, well, fallen deities, but former deities nonetheless, still very, very powerful, being killed in a number to warrant a name like that. It's a very cool moment in the lore because you see so many, it's like a snapshot of so many different power scales. And not to mention the, again, I don't want to, like, go too deep into it because I'm not sure right in this moment what all we've talked about before, but the fact that even the even the Dragon King in that moment gets put in his place. Again, it's such a really interesting, unique, cool moment of, like, seeing such a scale of, like, the different power levels that are at work in this universe. Very cool. There's a guy named Chris Kane, many years ago now, but he's a voice actor. He's got a lot of videos on YouTube where he does these dramatic readings of a lot of the lore that we've published. And if you're ever interested in, like, an aspect of Pantheon's lore, search Chris Kane as kind of an entry point into it. He does a really good job. Very, very cool to listen to. Mm-hmm. He did. He would have ended all life on Terminus, without question. Because of what the Ravaging Lord did. He killed the Dragon King's... I think it was the firstborn son. The Rainborn. That the Ravaging Lord killed, and, like, impaled him, like, on the side of some mountain, just, like, total disregard. And the Ravaging Lord was breathing in deeply, getting ready literally to just destroy everything. And then he was stopped. What are my thoughts on that, Frank? My thoughts are we absolutely need and will do that. We will not... Crafting recipes won't be in chests. I'm hopeful that'll be by the spring update. Actually haven't followed up on that in a bit. Need to check on that. Oh, cool, Porter. Yeah. You should remove all blood from your game, show 0 skin on any characters, and make everyone look like Pixar characters. Trust me, it makes money. Well. I was trying to think of something witty to say, and the only thing that's coming to mind is no. Yo, Jay Tall. Thank you so much for the Prime, my friend. I appreciate that. And the 5 months. That is really, really cool. Good to see you, Java. Looking forward to spring update. Keep up the great work. Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you. Oh, it's time to head out. Oh, the mace. Cool. Somebody got a mace. Oh no, let's roll meaning like, let's roll for it. Sorry. I get you. I get you. $20 enchanters to charm its small toe. That's right. There are players that straight up won't play because Charm isn't in. Yeah, I mean, and to be clear, like, I really like Charm. Like, we will have Charm because it's important. It's a very important ability for the feel of the world and just kind of and not only for enchanters, but I mean, think about like necromancers being able to charm undead, druids being able to charm animals, bards being able to do their charm thing. Like that's kind of a fixture to me, you know, for anything like in the spirit of EverQuest. But it is important that we, you know, acknowledge how off the rails it can get without, you know, some constraints. Yeah, Titan, that's coming. The need before greed, like loot rolling, is coming. Probably with the summer update, but it is definitely coming. What is what is the main issue with charm right now in M&M? I see a lot of people talking about how it's like, what makes it OP? What is currently making it OP? Oh, so in a way, it's kind of working like our enchanter animation a little bit right now, right? If you have an enchanter right now, you can kind of like... Okay. Is there any difference in, like, so if you, I'm assuming you need to charm certain things for it to work like that, right? Like, you couldn't just charm like a... like a wizard, right? Okay. Charming higher level NPCs. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I get that. It's tough. One of the things that we were talking about in this meeting where we were discussing charm yesterday was also things like where do you draw the line, like with what's charmable? Like, should I be able to charm a giant? You know, it's one thing to say like, okay, named NPCs, minor bosses, things like that, you know, they are just for the sake of like game balance and protecting itemization and things like that. Those are not charmable targets. But if it's like, just, you know, think about like charming a sand giant in EQ kind of thing, you know? Muppet, no, there's not. There's not. In fact, what we have right now actually is kind of an elite, non-elite system. But that's one of the things that's changing in the spring. Where we're going to be unifying pretty much all NPCs. They will be fundamentally more challenging, than they are right now. Like a current like non-elite solo NPC in Pantheon right now today is like, you know, pretty much a total pushover. So we will be increasing the baseline difficulty of NPCs across the board, since there will no longer be elite, non-elite. But then we're also leveraging the consideration system, basically the level-based differential between the player and the target, to also scale difficulty, which will also scale experience gain and things like that. So if you have an NPC targeted and you... Let me find one without dying that I can... that I'm in range to target. Hit the C key, you get a little message here, a color-coded message. And that tells you basically what level something is compared to yours. And the higher level it is, the more challenging it will be. So in that sense, we'll be going back to something that feels a lot more like EverQuest does, and less like WoW and Vanguard. But we'll be doing a few little nuanced things again to kind of build out that scaling, that level-based scaling. Hey, what is going on, Butt Monkey? Good to see you. Been busy this week? Yes. Yes. Yes, very much so. But it's good. Yeah, Fyros, exactly. That's exactly what it's going to be. Soloing in Pantheon will become more challenging, a little more challenging depending on what level thing that you're fighting. I mean, again, if you're fighting something low enough level, you know, your mileage may vary in the difficulty, but in terms of like experience gain, that's another thing we'll be doing is, you know, time to kill on the whole will be increasing. In some cases, just because mobs are going to have more health. So if you imagine like soloing something, it's going to take you longer to kill it. But yeah, that experience gain you get is going to be a lot better than what it currently is. So it should feel, on the whole, the goal is for it to feel a lot better in terms of not like burning out on just machine gunning through so many NPCs for such little experience gain. I'd rather you fight the same thing much longer and then get a lot more experience when you kill it. Challenge-wise, your group is doing far too well, not taking damage. Yeah, well, we have 2 healers. Healing in Pantheon is a little bit busted at the moment in terms of like it's pretty darn strong, yeah, especially with the druid. So I don't want to say like it's trivial, but it kind of is. Kind of is. So there's some tuning we're doing with that coming in the spring. Now that being said, like, I have to remember too, we're fighting things right now. Like these things that we're fighting, like this one is like dark blue. Since I'm on a dev account, I can see this is level 11. Level 11 and level 12, I think, are the highest level things that we're fighting here. We're also fighting things that are like light blue, like down to level 7. You guys think druids need more healing power? Is that what I'm hearing? Maybe. Maybe. Okay, I was like, where did my group go? Yeah, see, this is a solo NPC right here. You'll see how quickly this thing melts. I didn't say druids were the best healer in the game. That's not what I meant. What I mean is druids, and when I say druids, I mean in particular talisman. Talisman is in the right situation. Talisman is kind of nuts. You guys agree or disagree? I love Talisman too. I mean, I was excited about it, you know, but I don't know. So druids have, let's think about what druids have. Druids have Seed, Talisman, Herodes Flame, and Tree. And Wildfire. Add. Oh, add. Oh, we got 3. Okay, hold on. I gotta lock in here. Gotta lock in. And I am like, everything's on cooldown. Okay. Now see, this right here, we're talking about like our group's not really being pushed. This is what was missing. Is that when you get one extra mob that you aren't accounting for or aren't intending to get, then it can change things so dramatically. Now, we're still going to be fine here. But it's going to be a much bigger deal to get ads come with a spring update because, again, the TTK is going to go up a little bit, and it's going to become more about like a fight of attrition because we're going to be needing to make sure that we have enough mana to deal with these things. If we run out of mana, we're going to be in trouble. So that a lot of what I mean when I say like healers right now is more that we have the relationship between the effectiveness of healing, especially in the right situations, the right group comp, and the relative availability of mana just needs some tweaking. Like, I'm not saying it's like crazy out of line at all. I mean, I think our game for the most part is relatively well balanced, but it's more about just kind of like tipping it a little bit more in the direction of it being not so easy to, you know, handle 3 mobs at once. But this is why the PTR is going to be good, because the key is going to be, you know, I can like discuss these things and kind of like talk about these things, but PTR is where the rubber's going to meet the road, where, you know, you guys can really feel and give feedback. That's going to be the key thing, is giving feedback. Don't ever forget that, like, we need feedback, you know. We need the hundreds and thousands of hours, you know, to be put into these things to make sure that when the game is finally ready, you know, we've really nailed it. How many people will play on PTR exclusively? I'm curious about that too. Let's go get our spells. I am 1.5 levels away from being able to actually like port, which is kind of exciting. No, we're not taking away Talisman. No. What's going on, Crazy? We've got to figure out what broke with our grass, where we've got some grass that's moving properly in the wind and some grass that is not. Hey Joppa, I just saw a Reddit post about another MMORPG where a player complained that all classes were exactly the same and the lack of customization was disappointing. Mastery is a good idea. I think so too. I think Mastery is going to really, really push Pantheon into a really good spot. I think it's the right kind of balance between the old school class identity and giving players some freedom of expression with playstyles I really like. Because I will say, you know, I'm not overly patting myself on the back with this, because I've had significant input from like Mark, Fusoya, Cody, and obviously from you guys, the community, and our classes have grown and evolved to be where they are, and they're continuing to do so. But I think we've done a really good job, like, creating classes that have just a ton, hey, what's up, Crazy? Have a ton of like room for expression, where even within the same class, even within the same role, you can emphasize different things. I fully expect there to be Dire Lord tanks, for example, that are much more on the offensive side and like drain side of tanking, versus some Dire Lords that are going to be much more on the defensive, shielding, damage smoothing side of tanking, which I think is cool. I mean, I think that's, I don't take it for granted that it's cool that we have a design framework like that, and I think what it means for the longevity of the game. If we could only just get more brown in the game, then I think we'd be set. You know, there's no excuse for having this blue or these colors here, you know. I got both of these already. Go ahead and get the third one. Okay. Let's see what happens here. We can get our level 12 spells. So what is that? That is Frost Familiar. Yes. Portal. Bolt of Frost. Woo. Almost got Gate. That's going to be so nice. We'll go ahead and pick up Mana Current. Gate. Creeping Cold. There's our port. Throne Fast Gateway and Wild's End Gateway. What? Level 16. Got Lesser Shielding. Sparking Familiar. Shackles. Prison Burst. Combustion. Nice. How much room do we have? Won't go too crazy. Okay. Frost Familiar. Does this mean we switch back to cold? Yeah, because we just got Bolt of Frost. So yeah, we'll switch back to cold. Okay. So we'll say goodbye to fire for now. Let's do Frost Familiar, Bolt of Frost. This is utility. Actually, let's put that back. Let's get rid of this. Portal. Can we portal like from here to down there? It's too far. Uh-oh. Oh. Ah. Cold still sucks with familiar at that level. Chat, do we try this? If we die, we're dead. Like, this character's done. I can't risk it. I want to, though, so bad. What's the range on this? Let's see. Step through a portal, instantly traveling up to 20 meters to the location you click. Feels so risky. Let's just try it in a safe spot for now. That's cool. That's going to be something that the Spellblade leans into quite a bit for mobility. It's going to be sick. Fire or Frost Familiar. Okay. Hello there, little guy. Frost Familiar increases outgoing cold damage, causes all spells to bypass a portion of the enemy resistance. Definitely more so in the tank spec lethal, yeah. Hi, Joppa, are you planning to update the game's graphics? To an extent, yes. Like, there's definitely more graphical improvements that we have planned related to things like lighting and shaders. The game is fairly naked right now, shader-wise. Like, there's really nothing special going on in the shader realm, and shaders make such a huge difference to just the visual feel. So there's definitely going to be some more improvements and jumps forward that we make. It's not going to be like this crazy overhaul where it looks like a totally different game, but there's definitely still improvements. That will coincide with like improvements to animations, refinements to visual effects, and lots of other things that will continue just to make the game, plus UI improvements. That will all kind of work together to make the game a little more, just better and better looking. This is a nice city in the trees. Yeah, it is actually set to grow quite a bit too from what it is now. Just a very small slice of what it will be. So I did 366 damage. Why do you think it's gonna be hard to find tank warriors? I didn't even sell, guys. I didn't even think to sell. Are elves getting a new pass with Fairthale since there are Ember and Ashen elves? Also, with gnomes, do you plan to allow players to choose the color of the gummy bear goo glow? Yes, you will be able to customize the color of the glow. And yes, elves actually, as part of the character customization, they will have options that lean into Ashen and options that lean into Ember. Yep. Oh, I see. Well, I hope that with the changes to armor class, the improvements to armor class in general, and the fact that tank warriors will be the only class capable of wearing heavy plate mail, even if you're just into Fashion Quest, I think that could be enough to see a new round of tank warriors. But yeah, like, expect tank warriors to, you know, with a lot of the changes that we're making to warriors, to kind of like still give them like a very healthy shield based combat experience, but not necessarily keep them from being able to use, you know, dual wield or two-handers or things like that. I think you'll see. Now, let me also say this. Some of the banners and some of the buffs that warriors bring will be part of base kit. So while a tank warrior might be able to improve those or choose to improve those certain things to a greater degree, it doesn't mean that even DPS warriors wouldn't still have access to some of those banners, even if it's just at a lower tier. You think this looks like daytime? Does this look like daytime to you guys? You can definitely still see like player light sources. Like, look at this person over here. What is that? Is that a player? What is that? Oh, that's just water. Sorry. I mean, we are getting a little bit of moonlight through here, too. Anyway. Joppa, with Body of the Car still being actively worked on at this stage, how come it was never a target for the 2025 roadmap? Did you guys change your initial plans about the zone? No. I'm trying to think. I don't even remember like what the roadmap had on it. Are you saying the roadmap, the 2025 roadmap, had no mention of Body of the Car, and you're curious why? Not as something to be delivered in 2025, right? But more just like, why wasn't it being accounted for? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. I know that Body of the Car was never ever like even a thought to have it released in 2025. I know that. Yeah, I don't know. It was originally slated for December. Oh. I don't know. I need to go back and look and even see. I don't honestly even remember what that roadmap said. Woo! Man, that's a nice... Do we want to see... So, let's see. Are there any wizards on? Do we want to see if there's somebody that can... Or druids? There's a level 50 druid, but there's no druid ring here, so... Level 45 wizard, but they're in Silent Plains. They're probably not in a good place to port. Oh, can we only get ports from in the guild? I thought we could get ports from anybody. But maybe not. Oh, I'm running the wrong way. I got turned around. Honestly, guys, too, I don't know if we want to get like stuck back into something because I probably am going to need to drop soon. Trying to think what we could do. Honestly, do we want to try to make the run? Should we just try to make the run so that next time will be, yeah, the run? No? Just wait till ports? Okay. We can wait till ports. We can get level 15 pretty quick next time. And then yeah, that's probably makes the most sense. Okay. I mean, if you guys, I mean, it's only a hardcore run. I mean, it's only like, I don't really understand what the hesitation is. It's not like, you know. Let's do a couple more fights though, because I just want to see like how the cold feels. Fine stone? Okay. Yeah, if we decided to make the run, chat could go ahead and start debating on the next class. Okay. Cold. This thing's resistant to cold a little bit too. Wait. Okay. Ooh. That was sick. Wildfire. Woo. Pretty. Lots of pretty VFX. Lots of pretty. When's the next like really heavy hitting wizard spell? Like when's the next spell that it's like, okay, you know, like that, like a really, really big jump. Is 24? What is 24? Is that Cinderlance? Stances. You guys feel like the stances come in at a good point for the wizard in the wizard progression? Feel like they come in too late, too early? Nice, Dorn. Nice ad to come back to after eating my cats. A Meow Mix commercial with a saxophone playing cat. That is a nice ad to come back to. Very, very on the nose. Are we gonna put buff timers we can mouse over in the group UI? Yes. Oh my goodness, the UI frames are, there are so many important updates that we need to make to those. My sweet Christmas. I just can't wait till we have like actually, like, I'm not gonna lie, I would not mind it at all if our health bars were the size of all three of these bars combined for just health. Just health. I want to see health. I've never been able to actually like get this window to scale because it's always trying to like it's like always trying to do the group stuff. Yeah, I think we should definitely be able to support grouping across those. Oh, you like the thin health bars visibility? Oof, okay. Okay. I mean, you know. Just playing. Oh, you like that? Wait, how would you actually, how would you say that? Oh. 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 Oh, you like that? Okay. Oh. Oh. Okay. Okay. You like those thin health bars, huh? Okay. Haven't played in months. Are we happy with the Summoner update? For the most part, there's still a few things about it that are like cleanup items that we need to do as far as the ways that the pet needs to be able to benefit from some aspects of the player's stats and buffs and things like that. But I think from a holistic perspective, I think it is largely, from what I've been aware of feedback-wise, it's largely been viewed as a sizable improvement, for sure. Some mana back. Pretty spell. Whew. Yeah, the stacking thing with Summoner is another big one right now that's causing it to be less than stellar. That's a big one. This is gonna deal damage to myself. Boom. It's okay. I can take it. Rest for 1 sec. Rats. Whoever dinged. I think, well, Radiate Heat just needs ranks. Yeah, let's go ahead and get... I can go ahead and stay until we get 14, for sure. Oh, show. We will. Disenchanted, yeah. That's just another one of those little QOL things. Somebody, I just remembered, somebody asked the question earlier about bugs and why certain bugs stay in the game for a really long time. It's a great question. Like, why are some bugs fixed quickly and then some stay in the game a long time? That's one of those, like, interesting outside looking in perspectives where so often it's like, this is so easy, like, why don't you guys just fix this? Why do you let it linger for so long? And it's usually because it's more complicated than it seems to fix. Yeah, and then as Wolf said, some are unintended short-term features or happy accidents. Or maybe not so happy with that. Yeah. And there are things that do just fall off the radar sometimes. I mean, as I've been going through doing like a lot of this mastery work, I'm finding abilities that I'm like, oh my gosh, like this tooltip's wrong. Like this tooltip's been wrong forever, and I hate that kind of stuff. And I fix it, but it's like, I'm sure it's been reported a few times, at least a few times. But yeah, just kind of. It is tough, but the hope is that when we do have major updates like are coming in the spring, that we can capture a lot, especially a lot of the bugs that have been plaguing some of the classes. It's important to try to get all those nailed down. I came back after a break and literally stopped playing again solely because the Dire Lord bugs still exist after all this time, and after watching you on stream fix them a while back. Yeah, and then sometimes things... I mean, it really is kind of crazy. Like, you can... There have been plenty of instances where something will be fixed, and then it'll break again. And, whoops. And, it's tough. It's tough managing projects this large, this much code, this many different things happening, intersecting with each other. So you do the best you can, and yeah. Why do these two have the same? See, like this right here. Look, Ball Lightning and Glint have the same icon. That's no bueno. No bueno. You love that you can eat and drink at the same time? Yeah. Yeah, skilled adventurers can. They've learned over the many years and harsh journeys how to eat and drink at exactly the same time. And of course they do that by, you know, chewing up their food into a fine paste with the beverage in their mouth at the same time and then swallowing it all down at once. That's how real adventurers do it. Little known fact. And You could even go a step further and say real adventurers do that while fighting, while sprinting. You know? QA is definitely one of the most underrated, like, aspects of these projects for sure, because they're vast. They're so vast. There's so much to keep track of. You have these regression tests where you're constantly, you need to be constantly like checking against, updates and changes, making sure making sure the things that were working are still working. This could be bad. I took Phoenix Fire off my bar. I would have healed for that. Let me just put it back on my bar. How about that? Phoenix Fire, by the way. Surround yourself in a cloak of Phoenix Fire, greatly increasing your health regeneration for the next 7 seconds. Could have saved me. That was close. A little too close. It looks like Innates and I are going to ding at the same time. No, it's hardcore. When you're in a group, so it's a self-imposed rule system. This is not, I guess you could say it's not like true hardcore in the traditional sense. However, the one wrinkle though is that Pantheon has a near-death state. So he actually bandaged me and brought me back to life before I fully died. Okay, we've got 2 mobs in the camp here. Let me make sure I'm on the right one. But what I mean by not being like a true hardcore in the traditional sense is that the rule is that if you die before you release, as long as the group survives and can revive you and resurrect you, the group that you're in, not an outside res, then you can avoid the permadeath. But so like the first character I was doing hardcore on, my Dire Lord, we had a full wipe in the Goblin Caves, and that was a permadeath. So. Ding. If we want, we can definitely spice it up and say like, yeah, I mean, if you bite it, you fall down, you're done, you know. Kiwi Mooncake, the water looks very watery. I like it. It is very watery. Indeed. Alright, what do we get? Good job, guys. Mana Current. Connect yourself to the current of flowing mana. Grants 50% spell haste and threat generation. Okay. Interesting. We got Gate. Giving cold. So this is our damage over time that gives us cold focus. Okay. Interesting. I wonder feel like we should probably... All right, yeah, let's head back to Bindstone. Next time, we'll have the one level to get before 15, and then at that point I can port us wherever we need to go. Yeah, so I was reading it right. That's a 50% haste, which is wild, but also 50% threat increase. So that's definitely a, yeah. That is not something to play with lightly. And there we go. Good stuff. That was a ding to level 14. So if you're playing on the hardcore run, I think the rules state that, you know, you can now, I think level 15 now is the max, so don't go beyond 15. But you can jump in and get a few more levels if you want to. That was a good run. Got to level 14. Let's see. Let's take stock here. Level 14. I didn't even come close to dying, not even once. Group carried. And did all that while answering questions, talking with you guys. So I'd say that's a pretty successful run, huh? Pretty successful run. Oh. Mm-hmm. Nice, Omega. That's awesome. Yeah, you will have a lot of company. There's a lot of people wanting to get in when the spring update rolls out. So that's awesome. That is awesome. Is the mastery system coded yet? Yes. In fact, what I would call the kind of the final bells and whistles. So the mastery system, using mastery, is going to be kind of an experience. It's going to be really cool. It's going to be really cool. Probably cooler than you guys are expecting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go on. Yeah, I will go on soon. Soon. And like the real kind of soon. Not the eventually kind of soon, but we're actually getting into the realm of soon. Which is awesome. Exciting. So, what this means, though, and just to set expectations, stream schedule-wise, going to be playing it by ear. It's very likely that this will be the only stream that I can do this week, just with the overall workload. We'll see. You never know, but it's likely. I'll just reiterate again that my hope is in the next week or two, we'll be at the point where we're ready to start showing and telling, and we'll be getting back to some more actual dev work on stream, working on, you know, progressing some of these new systems and things like that. So I am sure that is exciting to a lot of you. It's exciting to me, and we'll hopefully be there soon. But as it stands, I will definitely see you guys again. I'm going to call it a day here. Go grab a little bite to eat, and then I've got a full plate tonight. So I'm going to call it here for today, but I will be back with you guys again next week. I'll keep you posted on all of that. And until then, my friends, enjoy the rest of your week. Take care. See you soon. Adios.